Right, Joe, the biggest game of the weekend by far is, of course, that fixture we're talking about, the North London derby. We've got an Arsenal fan in the studio. We've got a Tottenham fan in the studio. Arsenal are flying. Tottenham are doing all right as well. But my script says we're not doing a combined 11, Joseph.
Well, we are doing of sorts, but not an Arsenal-Spurs combined 11. Usually we would, but we felt like it might be a bit of a bloodbath.
OK.
What do you mean? Instead, we're mixing it up a little bit today. We've got Robbie to bring his strongest Arsenal 11 to the table. We've got Ben to bring the rest of the league's strongest 11, excluding Arsenal players. Yeah. So not allowed to bring any of the Arsenal squad to that team. We're going to go battling head-to-head to see how many Arsenal players get in the strongest Premier League 11, because we hear it all the time on AFTV, Robbie. You've got the best left-back, the best right-back, the best striker, the best midfielder. So how many of them actually make the 11?
Yeah, from a lot of fans. I think it's worth pointing out this is based on right now, this season as well.
We're not talking historically.
And Ben obviously might have an Arsenal player that he wants in. You might have a non-Arsenal player as well in terms of certain positions, but we'll go position by position.
Yeah, you don't have to force a player into the team if you don't believe they are. You can concede. But we'll go position by position, start with goalkeepers. So this season, based on current form, we've got David Raya versus Robin Roofs.
And that's a good shout, because to be fair, the Roofs has been on fire, hasn't he?
Very good.
Yes, Ben, you like that? Sorry.
Ben.
Yeah.
Do you want to proceed and say Robin Roofs should be in the 11, or are you conceding?
I will concede to David Raya. I think Robin Roofs...
straight away?
Robin
Roofs... it straight off the bat.
Well, no, I mean, David Raya is the best goalie in the league, isn't it? Roofs has been incredible for Sunderland, to be fair, and I think he's definitely worthy of a shout and a mention just because of... I mean, I was bigging him up on the last show that we did, talking about the best non-Big Six 11, so he's been quality. Like, he's kept Sunderland in a fair few games. I think this season it is quite close, but I still think Raya does just pip him and does edge him. Maybe Raya hasn't had a performance to the level of maybe what Roofs did against Palace away, for example, where he kind of single-handedly kept them in that game. He's only really made one mistake so far, but I do just think even if we're just judging it on this season, I'd say Raya has probably still been the most solid. I know he's got the best defence ahead of him, to be fair, but I'd still probably just go for.
It's interesting you conceded so early, because Roofs has actually got the best save percentage ratio of any keeper.
Yeah, do you know what? Actually, I'm back to fight for Robin. No, I still think Raya is the better.
But Raya has been immense, hasn't he?
No, he's been brilliant. Like you said, look at the clean sheet record up until that Sunderland game, actually.
Yeah.
And also, it's not just his saving; his distribution has been brilliant. Like, just his all-round game. He's a very important part of that defence. Yeah. So
David Raya goes straight on.
I think the fact that Ben conceded in his first minute of his argument.
I think I'll let myself down there.
1-0 to the Arsenal. Let's go to right backs. We've got Urian Timber versus Reece James.
Ready to concede again?
Yeah. Anyone conceding here? You conceding?
No.
Conceding?
No. I mean, this has never been a debate before, has it? These two. I think it depends what you kind of want from a fullback. I think Urian Timber is probably more solid defensively, but I think that's because it's his primary role with Arsenal. I think he's improved going forward this season. He's got 2 goals, 1 assist. I think Reece James is the other way around, right? 1 goal, 2 assists. He's put in more accurate crosses. He's created more chances. He's obviously played in midfield as well so far this season. He was excellent in that Tottenham game, playing in the centre of midfield. He's arguably more versatile, therefore, than Urian Timber. I mean, it's very close between these two. You wouldn't be unhappy with either of them being in this team or your team if you were looking to buy one of them. But I think Reece James is... I still think he's the more complete fullback, and I think he's probably just had a better season than Timber so far, I recken.
Robbie, do you agree with that?
Nope.
Sure.
It's exactly why I asked the question. I knew you'd say that. Perfect.
I think Reece James, don't get me wrong, excellent right back, right? But I think this guy has been the best right back in the league by far. I think he's been brilliant. I've not seen anyone run past him this season. He's solid. He's been good going forward as well. And he's versatile as well. I mean, even when he plays for the Netherlands, he plays as a centre-back, like as part of it. He can play anywhere across. Remember, when he first came in at Arsenal, he was playing a left-back as well, right? He has been excellent. A very, very important part of Arsenal's excellent defence.
Do you think it's him versus Hakimi for the best right-back in world football,
I do. At the moment, I think at the moment it is between them two.
And you'd put Reece James in that category?
I'd put him up there, yeah, for sure.
No, not at the moment.
I think so. I think Reece James, obviously, he's had issues with his fitness over the course of the last few years, but he's been fairly consistently available for the last sort of 6 to 9 months now under Enzo Maresca, since about March. And I do think the levels that he has showed in big games is up there with what Timber's done. And Hakimi's obviously gone and won the Champions League. So I think Hakimi's out in front, but I don't think it's that far apart between
So nobody's
these two.
conceding.
Not for me.
I presume you can't really make a decision because you're not neutral, are you?
Well, I'm a Spurs fan. Are you having the deciding vote? We haven't spoken about that. We should have done that before we went there.
Yeah, we really should have.
No, I think Smithy should get this
I
one.
would urge Jurien Timber.
Yeah.
I think Jurien
We'll
Timber
give Joe
has
the
been the
deciding
best right back.
I would probably agree. I think
Although Reece
it's
James
a
has
good
been
debate.
incredible.
James
I
has
think
been unbelievable.
A large proportion of the quality of him has been in midfield as well. So as a right
Good
back.
debate.
Centre-back
I
pairing.
think I'd agree with that. Let's do the centre-back pairing. Obviously, Arsenal have got, without doubt, the best centre-back pairing in the league.
Do
You've
both
got
of them,
two of them
Rob?
together.
Two of them.
Yeah.
Saliba and Gabriel. But you've got one of the magnets of someone who's been on unbelievable form, Mickey
Ligt.
van der Ven.
Yeah, well, both of them
has.
have been good,
The
to be
Ligt's
fair.
amazing.
I was close to putting Nordi Mukiele in here as well. He was in my best non-Big Six 11.
Yeah.
I think, again, a bit like Roofs, what he's done for Sunderland, that level of expectation there, really experience coming through. But I think De Ligt has gone up a level this season at Man United under Amorim.
Yeah.
But I think actually Van der Ven pips him in terms of, I think, who's had the slightly better season. I think Van der Ven, behind Gabriel, has been the second best centre-back. I think Van der Ven's improved defensively this season as well. Like, I think you've seen him have a bit more defensive responsibility. It's not just been about that high line kind of sweeping.
On that game the other day where
One mistake against Chelsea?
Yeah.
He's made one mistake that's led to a goal so far this season. I mean, Gabriel and Raya didn't cover themselves in glory for the Sunderland goal a couple of weeks ago. Like,
But they've just gone like a record-breaking,
Yeah, of course.
of keeping clean sheets.
Yeah.
But ain't even a debate right now, right?
No, I think Van der Ven is up there with Saliba for
I
sure.
agree.
this
Like,
season.
Joe and I have been so vocal on this show about Gabriel and Saliba being the best partnership. You can watch any Saturday social back. But I think if we're doing it on this season, the levels Van der Ven has been performing at, Spurs' top score with 6 in all competition, arguably going to win the Puskás Award for a goal that no other centre-back in the world can score, by the way. No other centre-back can do that.
What about the day job, defending?
And he's been great.
What about that goal game the other day?
He's been great.
What the Man United
That isn't
the Man United game set piece.
The tackle against.
Right? Where are they?
What about the Man United game? The tackle in the Man United game
against Sesko. Sesko runs clean for on goal, makes an amazing tackle.
Where
I think the Everton game, Van der Ven scored twice, obviously in that first half.
Yeah.
But it was his defensive performance and his leadership in that game that actually I thought was more impressive, considering that he didn't have Romero alongside him. He stepped up as the leader in that game.
So what about the?
He's made one defensive mistake, Van der Ven.
Brilliant, yeah, fantastic. What about all the home games, right? The Chelsea game, you lot lost, right? The Wolves game, you just about held on to.
That's not on the defence.
That's not on the defence.
What's the other games? So how many games? Bournemouth, where your defence got torn apart all over the place. What was it? There's another game at home.
Man United.
The bigger
Man
issue.
United conceded 2 goals.
The bigger issue
what about
for
the
Spurs
day
at
job?
home?
Defending.
Where's that's not? But I think that's
the De
false
Ligt goal.
narrative.
The De Ligt goal in the last minute. Where are the centre backs? Where the ball just gets hung in there.
That wasn't a Van der Ven error, that goal.
Yeah, it wasn't his man.
Right, I'm going to.
I think that's harsh.
This chaos. I think Gabriel. We all in agreement.
Gabriel is it.
Gabriel has to be on the board. Neither of you are willing. Anybody willing to concede?
No, I'm going.
Partnership in Europe.
No one's doubting that. 100%.
But I think.
Well, why are we disturbing it?
Gabriel's been much better than Saliba this season. I think
it's the best partnership in the league.
I do think Saliba. Yeah, I think generally, but I think on form so far this season, I do think. Look, I think
he's been all right going forward. Yeah,
he's been more than all right going forward.
Right, but what, as I said, what about the danger?
No, I think any
centre back,
any Spurs fan would tell you. Like we always Spurs fans get kind of like accused of forcing like Romero into debates, for example, right? And we've always consistently said that I think Romero is the better defender than Van der Ven. And I've said that Van der Ven has got a way to go in terms of improving maybe the day job over the course of the last few seasons, maybe in the air, maybe not quite strong. I'm talking about the last few seasons. This season, I think there's been a dramatic kind of step up in terms of his box defending, his ability to dominate in the air, in both boxes as well. He's had much better defensive performances purely in terms of actually being an out-and-out defender rather than...
It was all the clean sheets. It's everybody else's fault.
We've still been pretty decent defensively. It's not all on Van. You can't pin it all down to
it's about 3-4 games at home.
I think Van der Ven gets in here for this season.
You can't disturb the partnership.
I think for me, given the only neutral in the room, you're a Spurs fan, you're a Spurs voice. I think for me, I would err on Saliba's side.
Nah,
it's got to be.
I think Van der Ven is in direct competition, really, if we're being honest here, with Gabriel. Because he's a left-sided centre-back.
Yeah,
so we would have to be moving him out of position to accommodate. I think...
That's true.
But by the way, I know that you're really upset with that because you were really pushing Van der Ven.
Yeah, I think Van der Ven's
I
great.
agree with you. I was slightly less than you because I know how good that centre-back is. I think there's a discussion there, but I think there's not a lot in it. And
there's not.
You can't argue with that is the best centre-back.
Let's go to left-back.
It's close. It's close. He's had a great season. Let's go to left-back.
Not a lot in it.
Let's go to left back.
This season, there's not. There's
Do
genuinely
you want Calafiori in there, or are you conceding? Whoa.
Ricardo Calafiori's been brilliant this season.
I think this is quite a surprise pick. So you've got Nico O'Reilly over Correa, maybe?
Cucurella, Truffert potentially as well. Even Tyreek Mitchell, I think, has had a really good season at left back. But I do think O'Reilly, even though I don't think he started every single game for City, his performances in the bigger games against Brian Mbeumo didn't get much change out of him. Madueke in that game at the Emirates didn't get much change out of him at all. Salah last week didn't get much change out of O'Reilly. I think how comfortable he is in possession, which again is something that you will say about Calafiori for sure. Excellent going forward. But O'Reilly has been great this season. Well-deserved England call-up. I think he's got a massive case to start at the World Cup for the balance that he could offer that team and what he gives England in possession. Pep, you can tell how good a footballer he is, right? How much Pep trusts him. Came through as a midfielder in the academy, so comfortable on the ball, defensively as well. Like I said, his performances in the bigger games. I think Calafiori is the better player, but I think this season...
Do you think Nico O'Reilly's had a better season than Calafiori?
Yeah, go on then. Hand on heart, can I say that?
Yeah,
I think it's... Yeah, I'll have to
with
see
all the
Calafiori.
defenders here is that obviously Arsenal's defensive metrics have been so strong, hence why there's an argument for the whole back line, which it looks like
He's been brilliant.
And I mean, Rob,
I'll tell you, I wouldn't... O'Reilly's done well. If me, the person I think, if you were going to alternate, would be Cucurella. I think he's been really good.
Yeah, I think Cucurella's been good as well, but I think O'Reilly, in terms of making that step up and kind of maybe exceeding the expectations and establishing himself in that City team, I think that's...
Just to be clear here as well, you are seeing the ball. We are building out a combined Arsenal and the rest of the Premier League 11. I feel like I've maybe swayed quite heavily into the Arsenal camp.
So what we're saying by this is Arsenal have to win the league.
Remember, that's been a record-breaking defence.
So currently there's no non-Arsenal player in the combined 11, which a lot of people would agree with, to be fair, because they have been great defensively.
So what we're saying by this is that Arsenal have to win the league this season. If we put in all of these guys in there...
No, you're the champions of Europe. You should win it.
Good point.
What,
the champions of Europe.
Let's go to defensive midfield.
Now, this is where we probably might have the first non-Arsenal player. I'm guessing you might be putting Caicedo forward in this position.
Yeah.
Who has been immense this season, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been superb. Again, that game against Tottenham, I think that's one of the best individual midfield performances I've seen from anybody.
I'd agree. I was at that game.
It was top.
You almost have to... Sorry to interrupt. You had to be there to watch... almost scan the whole field to see how much ground he covers and how good he is. It was it was mind-blowing how good. But he's been doing that consistently, hasn't
100%, and also what Caicedo does offer going forward as well. I think that's something. I know obviously we're debating Zubimendi, but the Caicedo-Rice thing is, probably one of the most tiring debates that people kind of tend to have, right? But that's something that gets held against Caicedo in terms of his offensive contributions. But he's chipped in with goals. His line-breaking passing is really, really good to get Chelsea kind of out of that press. He's much better on the ball than people kind of give him credit for as well. But defensively, he's a monster. We talked about Van de Ven maybe making a mistake for that Chelsea goal. But Caicedo, the way that he harries that Tottenham team and forces those turnovers, he was doing that all game. And I think Zubimendi's been brilliant. And I think he's the perfect complementary to Rice, I think, in that Arsenal midfield. But I think it has to be Caicedo for the level that he's put in this season.
This is an interesting debate, though, because...
Are you conceding?
Robbie, you said on this show, in that chair, on show 1, that Zubimendi would be the Premier League player of the season. That's how much you rate him. Would you have him based on...
Remember, she laughed at me then as well.
I didn't
laughed. Yes, you did. Laughed.
I think it was a cackle.
After the show. Robbie, did you really say that?
I think that was Joe, not me.
And look how good he's been.
He's been.
Right? All right, he may not go on to do that, but he's been brilliant.
Yeah.
Are you going to concede?
Caicedo has been really.
All right. Caicedo goes on the
in the game.
But so has he. He's been very good.
Yeah, he's been great.
Caicedo's been good.
I think the next midfielders, let's do them as a 2, because there's a bit of a difference in position here. So obviously you've got Declan Rice and Odegaard in your strongest 11. You've got a few different midfield names you want to bring to the table.
Yeah, I found it really tough with the midfield to kind of nail it down to 2, because I also don't think there's been a outstanding attacking midfielder in the league this season. If I was to put forward a number 10 shout, I think I would put forward...
How many cards you got there?
I've got... No, so I've got... That's good. So I don't think there's been an outstanding proper number 10.
Is there a name, though, that you think should be on there from these 2?
From those 2, I think Declan Rice, Odegaard, no. I'd put...
Odegaard, no, but you asked me what would be the strongest.
Exactly.
And normally he would be in the strongest 11, but obviously with injuries and everything, he's not really...
So let's put Rice on the board. So he's a guarantee.
That's why I've got multiple...
Absolutely nailed on.
Yeah, for sure.
This guy is one of the best players in the league.
I'm happy to concede.
I don't think anyone disagrees with that.
Yeah, so that's why I came with a couple of different picks, because I don't think, like I said, there's been an out-and-out number 10. So I've gone for Szoboszlai as an attacking kind of midfielder.
They've paid a lot on the right, though, hasn't he?
Oh, right back, but in central midfield. But like I said, I don't think there's been an out-and-out number 10. I think from offensively, he's contributed really well as well. I've got Tonali and I've got Xhaka as kind of options to put in here as well. Xhaka obviously has kind of played at the base of that midfield, but has contributed going forward too in terms of crucial assists at crucial times for Sunderland. I think every goal contribution that he's had has mattered in the game.
Yeah.
And Sandro Tonali, I think, has been at the level of arguably touching the best midfielders in the league so far this season. How consistent he's been in the Champions League as well for them. I'm not saying he's as good as. I'm not saying he's as.
He's a great player, but I think Xhaka's been the best out of those, right?
I think it's close between those. I agree with you. I'd have Xhaka for relative expectation.
What he's done for Sunderland this season, and Sunderland 4th in the league.
Yeah.
He's been, I mean, the other day against us, he was exceptional. You know, I mean, he's leading that team. He's the driving force.
Yeah. So that's why I came with these guys, because I don't think from an attacking point of view there's been a stand-up. But I think Szoboszlai, I think, has got all-round probably the strongest case.
He's been excellent, but he's played mainly on the right as a right-back.
I think he's played a fair amount of minutes in central midfield, and also, again, it shows his versatility that he's able to kind of go and fill in at right-back. I think without Szoboszlai this season, Liverpool would be in a far worse state than they are right now. I think he's been a standout midfielder. Gravenberch started the season well, but I think has sort of tailed off a little bit recently. I think for his all-round game, I think Szoboszlai, those two have got a great case as well. But I think if we're going to lean towards a slightly more attacking option and someone that can eat up the ground and win the ball back as well, I think Szoboszlai has to be.
He's been a massively important player for Liverpool. There's only 2 players this season that have played every minute for Liverpool this season. That's Van Dijk and Szoboszlai. It's obviously shows how much rotation they've done. They've had injuries to players as well, but he's been a key player. So, Robbie, where are you standing here? You'd go Odegaard based on...
No, not this season. I can't go Odegaard.
Okay.
With too many injuries, he's been out.
So you not want to bring Eze to the table?
Yeah, you haven't got Eze in your starting lineup.
No, because you said my strongest. I think my strongest is Odegaard. If he's, you said strongest if everyone's fit.
So he would be.
I think it would be Szoboszlai. Even with Eze, I still think he's finding his feet at Arsenal. He's been all right. You know, I mean, he's scored goals, he's had assists, but Szoboszlai has been, very consistent this season.
Let's go to the right wing then.
Yeah.
So you're going to bring Bukayo to the table, obviously. You're going to bring...
Bryan Mbeumo. Although I also think that, again, honourable mention that Iliman Ndiaye is also worth a shout in here as well. Like, I think Bryan Mbeumo, I think he's been better than I thought he was going to be for Man United. I always kind of rated him as a player, but sort of thought he's a guy that if you give him service and allow him to run in behind, at Brentford and United you've got 2 systems that kind of facilitate that really well. But I've also been really impressed with his overall play, like when he drops deep, links the play to help United kind of break through the lines too. I think he's a better footballer than maybe I thought that he would be, rather than just kind of pigeonholing him as like a final action player, a goal scorer. He's been far more complete. And Ndiaye is also well worth a shout for what he's doing for that Everton team. I think Grealish got a lot of the plaudits early on because everyone was really happy to see him go there, and he had a good start. And Ndiaye's been their best player, head and shoulders above anyone. He's had such magic moments kind of playing off that right-hand side. The goal against Sunderland, every week it feels like he's doing something, getting people off their seat. So between these two, it's close. I'd probably edge Mbeumo just for the goal output. But I think both of these two are worth a shout.
His first touch is absolutely out of this world, Bryan Mbeumo. His first touch, his ability to hold the ball up with a defender at his back and bring other players into the game. The link up with Sesko and Cunha, he has been... I think it's really hard to look good at Manchester United quickly as a new signing. And he's probably impressed me the most since
been your best
Bruno.
player.
In terms of
5 goals
signing.
and 1 assist as well, straight away, as you said.
Yeah, I think he's been great. I think... Obviously, Saka's a great player, but I think this season...
I think Saka's a better player. Saka's a better player, but this season, again, he's a guy that's been coming back from injuries.
Yeah.
I think over the last couple of games, we're starting to see Bukayo Saka is back now, right? So he looks like he's got over that injury. He's back, he's flowing, but... If I'm being honest, Mbeumo has been... I think he has been excellent.
Wow, so you're conceding to...
I'll concede... Yeah, I'm not saying...
John Robbie...
Conceding the star boy, unbelievable.
See, I'm a fair guy. We're going over overall so far this season.
Yeah, this season.
If it's overall so far this season, it would be I'm fair,
Fair guy, yeah.
Unlike you lot with your Van der
I'm
Ven.
the same with the back line, you see.
I'm fair.
Left wing. Presumably this is... Or actually, is it presumably?
I mean, so, again, I think... It's got to be Antoine Semenyo. Yeah. I also did have Jeremy Doku as now, and that's not just recency bias as well, by the way. This guy deserves his flowers for being more consistent than I think he's made out to be. I think the type of winger that he is, I think because he might not get the goals and assists that he did against Liverpool every single week, you can't put a price on the threat that he brings in terms of being relentlessly going at his fullback time after time. I actually think Doku is a slightly better winger than Semenyo, and slightly more complete. But I think Semenyo, for the season that he's had, and I think Semenyo could scale up to a big club. And like, obviously, in January, there's that supposed release clause. I think Arsenal will be all over him, and I think he'd 100% start for Arsenal if you've got the money and the levers to kind of make that happen. Liverpool are in for him, City are in for him. Be interesting to see what would happen with Doku, where he would play if Semenyo was to kind of go there. Maybe Semenyo could play on the right and Doku could play on the right. But I think you do have to, for the output purely and the level of performances. And also, I think he's gone up a level as well, Semenyo, this season. We did see this last year. Did start to tail off a little bit like Bournemouth did towards the second half of the season when they got a bit tired and stuff. But, yeah, I think I'd go for Semenyo.
Conceding?
My main guy is Trossard, who I think is one of the most underrated players in the league. Scores big goals, big assists, always clutch. But again, on this season, you have to go Semenyo. I think he's been the best left winger in the league.
I think it's good to shout Trossard up, actually, because I think we've all agreed that Semenyo is. But I think underrated's a good shout.
Very, very underrated
up a lot.
player.
2 goals, 2 assists. He's regularly playing in multiple positions or coming off the bench.
Always
I think Trossard's
contributes.
been really good
player,
for us.
really is.
And there was chat in the summer amongst some portions of the Arsenal fan base about should he be moved on? Is this the time to move away from Trossard? Should they sell him to Saudi Arabia?
Yeah.
But I think his emergence back in that starting 11.
Yeah, it was on AFTV a lot of that chat, wasn't it?
Didn't want to bring it out, but it did sound like it alluded to it there.
He's got to go.
Yeah. Listen to this guy.
Striking, are you conceding with Gyökeres to Erling Haaland?
Yes.
Thank you.
The biggest tap-in of the whole list. I mean, if we look at that board overall, do you think that paints a little bit of a picture of the season so far, Robbie, in that you have been extremely dominant at the back?
Yeah,
the best defence in the league by a mile, but then in forward areas, maybe just a few things that haven't quite clicked.
Yeah, and I think in forward areas, a lot of that's been down to injuries, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, strikers are always injured, you know what I mean? We had no Havertz, you know, Gyökeres is injured currently. Saka was out, then Madueke started off brilliant, then he got injured. Then Martinelli started off really well, then he got injured, you know what I mean? So it's been a bit, you know, up front, we've been struggling for consistency, even though we still score goals and everything. But what's been really good about Arsenal is that midfield and defence has been absolutely solid, and that's the foundation for all the great work we've done.
There we have it. Good debate that. I know Ben we're pushing Van der Ven, but I think we have to hold our hands up and go defensively. Even I know you're still holding the Van der Ven.
Get over the Van der Ven thing, man.
I can't.
Ben, I think we have to move on and go. To be fair, that back line, that partnership
it's unbelievable.
has been incredible, and I don't think we can argue with that back 5. So 6 Arsenal players.
Six Arsenal players.
Count it. My maths isn't the strongest, but 6 Arsenal players made it. Let us know what you think of that team at home. What a side that is, by the way.